Hi, it's Mr. Bye for Now from Millwall Football Club, and you're listening to the world famous AchtungMillwall.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung Millwall. Nice to be back. I've not been here for upwards of 2 months, one way and the other. I missed the last home game. Was that against Hull City last time we...
I believe it was, yeah.
Hull City. I missed it. I was away for that one. But you join us here, dear listeners, for the visit of Wigan Athletic on a cold, beautiful, sunny afternoon here in South Bermondsey. Joining me are two stars of stage and screen and sound, Mr. Michael Avery.
I'm not a star of any of those three things. That's our other co-host today.
And much photographed. His company is sought across the car park. It's the man off the telly, Mr. Aaron Paul.
Good to be back in Birdshit Corner. It looks like they had one hell of a party here last night.
The Birds always live it up here. The Birds live it up round here, dear listeners. Your Millwall team this afternoon, dear listeners. Controversially, some might say George Long retains his place in the Millwall goal. No Bartbielkowski. Back line will be the returning Sean Hutchinson with the captain's armband, Jake Cooper in the middle. Either side of Murray Wallace and Danny Mack. Your midfield twosome, of course, Jules Saville and Billy Mitch. In front of them, Zian Fleming, the star of the show, Vogie, Andreas Vogelstammer, and also returning Mason Bennett. In front of them, of course, is the reliable, industrious, hard-working Tom Bradshaw.
That's Nick's way of saying he don't score enough.
A lot of games called off in the non-league world today, Michael. Frozen pitches.
Yep, our friends at Erith Town were going to be away at Phoenix. Away at Phoenix, that's called off. Yeah. Talking of non-league, the potential non-league next season, Gillingham.
Gillingham v Ebbsfleet, the Kent Derby. Yeah. Ebbsfleet doing well in the National League South.
Gillingham's off tomorrow. Charlton away at Morecambe's away. And we were just saying, just before you press record, that's a frosty-looking pitch.
Yeah, the Lions pitch looks a bit white out there, Aaron.
I heard that, oh no, that's a different ground I was thinking of. I was about to say that part of the undersaw heating done well, but that's not here at Mill. That's another ground I was thinking of.
We've never actually had a problem with a frozen pitch in my time here at the New Den. I can't think of many at the old Coldblow Lane ground for that matter, but certainly there's a whole section of what is at the moment the Wigan half. I'm really disgusted with that Wigan kit there, Aaron. Shades of grey with a green sleeves. It's a very odd turnout there in Mill, of course, in our traditional blue and white.
Couldn't they do something better, surely? Week before Christmas, I mean,
does JJB Sports still exist?
No.
Must be off there, the last remnants of what the JJB warehouse had available. It's repulsive.
JJBs weren't bad, you know.
They're not.
No. But Dave Whelan is just he's not owner anymore. They've got new owners. They've got an owner that launched them out of trouble, which is good news to them, but the football ain't great. Colo Torre, incidentally, first game in charge.
Yeah, new manager for Wigan. They've always been a bit of a bogey side. They've always been a bit of a blocking side. Game is underway, as you'll have gathered. Mill are attacking the away end in the first half, in accordance with the dictums of the Venerable Bede, writing in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Wigan on an early surge forward, the 11 on the left-hand side. That's a bobbling shot. That's across the face of the goal. Punched away by Jules Long inside the first 30 seconds. Going to be a right-sided corner. That's not a good start, is it?
Bit risque, wasn't it?
Risque. Risque's the word. I'm sprawled nonchalantly up in Birdshit Corner with my two compadres, listeners. The Birdshit remains. Much changes in life, but the Birdshit remains. Has been put behind for a goal kick, as you'll gather from the derision of the Coldblow Lane in there.
I think it's like South Bermondsey grit, the Birdshit, to stop it freezing up here.
I do wonder what they feed these pigeons on, but...
it could be Manzi's, cheap plug. Could be Manzi's what's in the car park today, dear listener. Tell you what, there ain't many people here today, are there?
No, it's not an easy day to get out. We've got the big match tonight, listeners, of course. England versus France in the World Cup quarter-final.
The compromised Christmas shopping from the missus indoors before said, because you can't do both.
Can't do both, mate.
And if you are still looking for gifts, why not pop along to the Millwall Club shop?
If you can get in the queue was massive out there.
I think we should start bringing advertising onto this channel.
Well, I'm plugging the no.
The website is not available at the moment. It's a physical sales only at the shop, isn't it?
Arthur's Run is being organised by a gentleman, Pete. He was round by the awning today, but he's collecting loads of bits and pieces.
For Ukraine, is it?
I believe it originally was. I'm not sure whether it's what it is now or what it's evolved into. Don't get me wrong, but it's obviously it's a collection for people who need supplies and items and everything like that. You donate into his van, and bless him, he jumps behind the wheel and drives it where it needs to be.
Wigan pressing forward, interrupting Michael's worthy spill there. It's fallen to the right, left side, ball back into the box. Millwall just looking a little bit shaky in defence so far, dear listeners. 5 minutes in. Yeah, Arthur's Run, I'm sure that's on Twitter if you want to contribute to it. It's a great cause.
I think he's been here since 7:30 this morning.
Has he? Wow.
Wow. Yeah, so it's a cold one for him, bless him. But well done, Pete. Yeah, it's a worthy cause.
Absolutely.
Can I just shout at the guy with the flat cap in block 1, which means about 1,500 of you, but the guy eating the Dairy Lee Lunchable, I haven't seen them since 99.
Triangles.
Well, no, they're the ones, you used to get the little cracker, the bit of ham and the cheese in the little pack. But I've seen him eating the Dairy Lee Lunchable down there.
Is he?
Respect to him, because I don't even know they still made them.
My heart attack surgeon would have a fit if I started eating those, wouldn't he?
Lunchable.
Hats off to the club. As I walked round to the blue bus to meet up with Michael and Aaron today, I walked past a little outdoors bar that never used to be there by the tribute wall. They've got a little bar set up there with.
Is it the Captain's Bar or something like that?
I don't know. It's just like an outdoor bar, and it was doing some good trade. Well done, Millwall. That's what we've always wanted to see, and it's great to see it. The blue bar area, very, very good. You've got the German burgers and sausage bar around there, and the bar down there doing some good trade. And the band were pretty good today, doing some AC/DC covers.
Yeah. To be fair to Millwall, it might have taken them a bit of a while to start using that space more effectively.
But they're there, they're doing it.
But it's there, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
All I've ever wanted, all I've ever wanted, listeners. That sounds a bit, like the kind of lifetime's wish. It wasn't really that extreme, but it's great to see the club making use of its land, bringing more income in.
Do you think he gets this everywhere, James McLean?
I think he does get it everywhere.
I was going to say,
I'd say 91 of 92 grand.
Yeah. Wigan are in the 91 that give it to him and all, yeah.
And this is because he won't wear a poppy because of his background. But he will get some stick for him. Does get some stick. I think he gets a lot more than just booing at football grounds, to be honest. But there we are. A nice move here. This is Vogelsam on the right side. Ball's into the box. That's batted round by the goalkeeper. Lovely move on 10 minutes by Millwall. First real moment of threatening action there by the lines. That's gone for a corner. It's going to be a right-sided corner.
Going back to the games with Wigan before they take this corner, do you remember the 3-3 when we were 3-0 down with like 8 minutes to go?
Dennis Wise era.
Yeah, we pulled that through, and it felt like we'd won the game because it was the first time in ages we'd actually beat.
Wise could do that. Wise could take a game, and if he needed a goal, he would find a way. He was a top-level player. Oh, that ball works its way through down the left. Zian Fleming, little ball inside. Tom Bradshaw, ball chipped in first time. Goalkeeper bats it away. Vogel, Sammer on the right side. That was a nice little dink on the target. The goalkeeper got down to it low. Great chance from Millwall. Nice move. Comes towards 15 minutes. Ball's now going to come in from the right. That's onto Bradshaw, but he couldn't really bring it under control. I was just talking to Kelly Webster of the Lions Food Hub with Aaron and Michael. And she was telling us that following that great piece that you did on ITV, great little piece on the work of the Millwall Community Scheme, but someone from Smithfield Market, on the strength of that piece, made a donation of 40-odd turkeys for local.
It's upgraded.
Upgraded.
So the man, I heard, he come from Yugoslavia and said that he struggled a lot when he come to this country and that he wanted to give something back. And so his wife found out that he's trying to donate 50 turkeys.
Right.
And said, no, that ain't good enough. We're going to do 50 Christmas hampers.
Blimey.
So fair play to the guy. I don't know if he wants to remain sort of anonymous or what.
Yeah.
With respect to him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Power of television, listeners. Power of television. That's beautiful gesture by the unnamed. We will respect his anonymity there.
Can I also just say thanks to you guys, the Achtung boys, for the kind donations. We got the chocolate selection boxes,
Christmas,
and a box of milk tray for every family. So
well done for you for organising it, because all we did was lumped in some money, but it's a really nice gesture.
You know. Nick also could be the milk tray man for those who wants to donate.
I'd have to be careful not to put me back out skiing down a mountain. That's an old school advert. Younger listeners won't know what I'm on about. 17 minutes, 0-0. Bit of back and forth game. We had some moments. That was a good chance for Tom Bradshaw a few minutes ago. Nice little feeder ball from Zian Fleming.
If you could pick up two players in two positions that you feel could really benefit this side, what would they be?
Messi?
No.
Well, within reason. Within reason.
We need a goal scorer.
A goal scorer is the most obvious thing. Someone that can get on the end of these chances and have a decent chance of putting one.
You look at that, just quickly to elaborate on that. That ball from Fleming into Bradshaw was so effortless.
Yeah.
If you had a real top six striker, he would have put that away.
Touch of quality on that front would be very, very welcome. Poor old Bennett looks like he's injured a lot now, and how much we're going to see of Bennett, I don't know. But same with Ryan Leonard. He looks like he's pretty much permanently injured now.
Being operated on. He's like the operation man, isn't he? Just bits of him are open.
I suppose someone on the left side, really. We lack somebody on the left side of midfield. Really, we seem to be filling in a lot, don't we? At the moment. I mean, it's easy to say. Goal scoring is goal dust, isn't it? I mean, every side are searching for that. I did want to mention Alex Aldrich and the quality of the recruitment. We've signed this young kid. We mentioned it on the Fizz and I were talking yesterday. The boy Imaku, I think his name is. I think that's how it's pronounced.
The guy from Shamrock.
Shamrock Rovers. Apparently a real prospect. So that's the kind of signing we want to see. You know.
Because let's be brutally honest, it's not going to cost us anything. If he does well, it benefits us, and then if we sell him on, it benefits us as well.
Exactly. That's the model we've got to go for. 20 minutes, come towards the halfway point. Well, actually, it's quite entertaining half so far. There have been moments at both ends. We're going to have the ball zipping around backwards and forwards on a few occasions, but then the best chance was that one that we've mentioned, Tom Bradshaw.
But I do agree with what you're saying about left-hand side player, because, I mean, you could argue even say that as far as left back or left wing back as well, couldn't you? You know, it doesn't have to be that left-hand attacking player, because I think, we've got Murray Wallace who's good at sort of left backy, and Malone who's there as a left wing back, but they're not sort of consistent, are they? They're always chopping and changing.
Some on-field leadership as well.
Yeah.
We do seem to lack a voice, someone that's going to pull it together. It's great to see Hutchinson back for this afternoon's game, because I think that's...
And how much more confident does Cooper look with Hutchinson next to him?
Talk of... apparently Jake's out of contract at the end of the season. Talk of Glasgow Rangers being injured. This was mentioned on Fizz show yesterday. Money, I suppose. I don't know. That's all I can think of.
Nice bit of sunshine over the Den this evening.
It is beautiful. Sun is setting now. It's the Canary Wharf is illuminated in the lustre of the late afternoon Bermondsey sunshine, which is renowned around the world. Some of the great artists strive to capture that sunshine. They call it Bermondsey light. Bermondsey light. The incinerator building is particularly well picked out by it.
To be fair, apart from the opening 5 minutes, Wigan have done absolutely nothing, haven't they?
They've had possession.
Yeah, I know that's what I mean, but they've not done anything with it.
They've not had it in the danger zone, apart from that opening bit where they were zipping around here.
They're in limp like your vegan chip.
Millwall so far industrious, but nothing. The best chance was Tom Bradshaw, which the goalkeeper did well to get down to earlier on. Otherwise, it's a fairly scruffy, cold afternoon game. Murray Wallace inside, nice little pass there, ball's in, headed away. Fleming, the crowd wants a shot, they want some magic. And straight into James McLean's crown jewels. Would he have crown jewels? Wouldn't have crown jewels, would he? Republican jewels.
Uncle Nick, what's your favourite Christmas song?
My favourite Christmas song? I obviously the Fairy Tale of New York is the classic, and which I think is actually a good song in its own right. A ball bouncing around, that's shot into an empty net. The 20, ping pong inside the Mill penalty area. The 20 has an easy chance to slot it in. 33 minutes, 0-0, Wigan 1. That was very poor defending by Millwall. Ball allowed to ping around and an open shot on goal.
That is fucking
moronic defending, Aaron.
The only thing you could take from that, that's slightly amusing, is Long's save for the rebound was like, you know, the slow-mo in Platoon when he goes down. He just had no interest in trying to save that, did he? That's awful.
Poor goal. Poor goal.
Watch it. Look, it's on replay.
Just a replay. Scuffing around. They're just basically slotted in. That was the debate. Oh dear, oh dear. Poor goalkeeping, Aaron.
Bart's extending arm would have got that, and I know there is this whole debate at the moment, Bart or Long, and I am obviously team Biakowski.
Yeah, me too.
Right, here's a question, right? And this is for any listener who's got any goalkeeping experience there. Deadly serious. Would you have dived for that blocked shot? Because I think I'm a bit when you said poor goalkeeping. I agree with that, but then again,
I've got a difficult angle on the big screen to see it, but in real time it looked like he was slow.
He committed too early, I thought. I could be wrong. That's why I'm saying please message.
You'll all see it on the YouTube stream after tonight's extravaganza. Anyway, this is a free kick for Millwall. Let's try and get back into this. 34 minutes. Murray Wallace on the left side, just inside the Wigan half. It's lumped forwards into the danger zone. It's flick headed on from Jake. This is now Vogie on the right side. What can he do? His shot is slammed into the first defender. That's deflated what little atmosphere there was in it then. There wasn't an awful lot. I'm going to be up front listeners beforehand. A gift of a goal. I think I saw Gary Rowett describe last week's second half shambles at Sunderland as gifting goals. Well, we just gifted Wigan a goal there. And then we're not going to do it if that's the kind of standard that we're working to, listeners. I'll do it being progress up the table. This is Mason Bennett now, left side. Attacking run, ball into the box. Oh, that was a close range header. Who was that? Over the bar. Was that Vogelsammer? Great move, great cross. Bullet header from Vogelsammer. Wide of the mark. Great move. I thought that was in.
I thought that was in the back of the net. I think most of block one did as well. Obviously, look, we're restricted by
Let's have a look
angle.
at it. In it comes. Wouldn't have been far away, but there we are. Inch is as good as a mile, dear listeners. 36 minutes. Here comes Zian. Wide. 39 minutes, coming towards 40. This is Danny Mack on the right side. He's floated the ball in. Tom Bradshaw shot. Oh, what a goal! What a goal, Zian Fleming. Chested down by Bradshaw. Zian takes it on the volley, slams it in. Bottom left. 40 minutes. 1-8. What would it be without him, listeners? Fantastic goal.
Without sounding like Nostradamus, did I not say 5 minutes ago he's the only player who, when a ball lands to him, can hit it first time? There's a great example there. Ball's landed, hit on the volley, straight in the bottom.
Beautiful take.
Yeah,
beautiful,
great finish.
Beautiful strike.
Look, watch, look. Put chest it down. I mean, the touchdown's lovely as well. You watch this chest down.
Top quality strike. That's warmed me up, listeners. I tell you, it's getting a bit cold now. What a strike, what a player, what a signing. 1.7 million. That is cheap as chips. Who says that? That's David Dickinson, cheap as chips. But that was a great strike, and just what the team needed in a moment of we're adrift. We're like on the seven seas. We're a bit like Tom Hanks in Castaway when he's talking to that football. Wilson. That's what I was shouting, Wilson up here. God damn you, Wilson. And then Zian Fleming steps up and gets the goal, and suddenly I'm rational again, listeners.
What I like about Fleming is just so effortless, isn't it? It really is. He
Beautiful strike. Well worth watching on the YouTube stream, dear listeners. If you're looking for a Christmas present, you could do a lot worse than our pundit game. We've partnered up with punditgame.co.uk. It's like a Trivial Pursuit game. You answer 5 questions, and there's some fairly tough questions, listeners. I'll read a couple out if I get a chance to on another show. I haven't got it with me, obviously, at the moment. But every sale helps Kelly and the Lions Food Hub. We were able to donate 70 quid this week from sales from Pundit, so really appreciate that. Everyone has bought the game. It's a great Christmas present. I'd say for certainly adult football heads, people that know their football, I'd say you'd probably kids maybe are down to like late teens, 20. They've got sections on the 2010s, the 2000s, 1990s, England, Euros, EFL sections, and they do veer into toughies and easies, and the easies are not easy, believe me. So yeah, great game. And it does good. If you, every sale made helps the food hub. So punditgames.co.uk. Great segue there, Michael. Thank you very much,
Indeed.
mate.
Yeah, the 2 punches in the arm really helped lead it, didn't it?
And we're into added time. I don't know how many 8 minutes of added time we got here.
I'm looking forward to Mr. Python's Christmas playlist.
What's your favourite Christmas song, Aaron?
Boney M.
Boney M.
Boney M.
Yeah, no, I mentioned Fairy Tale in New York is a classic, but I think it's a classic song in its own right. But I also like, I don't know what's called, Greg Lake did
I Believe in
Father Christmas, which is a fantastic song. Again, fantastic song in its own right.
Elton John, Step Into Christmas.
Good tune.
It's not bad,
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
What's the best modern one? That's the question.
I don't know much in the way of modern music, mate, to be honest.
Kelly Clarkson's one, that's a good one.
Is it?
I like that one.
I don't know anything about Kelly Clarkson.
I'll send it to you later. Mary's Boy Child isn't normally one you would associate with steel drums, would you?
Big tune.
Half time,
It's half time. Everyone's running off. I thought I've only been like a pitch intrusion there, the way they're running off, but no, it's half time. They can't wait to get inside. Half time, Millwall 1, Wigan Athletic 1.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Teams are out in the now descending darkness. The floodlights illuminating the den. Pitch brilliant green. Mill will be attacking the Coldblow Lane end in the second half, as per the dictums of the Venerable Bede, writing at Lindisfarne Abbey all those centuries ago. Wigan will be attacking the away end. Big difference in the first half. The individual comes down to Zian Fleming, doesn't it, Aaron? I mean, fairly scrappy game, even overall, and yet Zian Fleming comes in to produce a moment of magic and hold the lines back after conceding a silly goal.
Touch of class, and that'll call it.
Touch of class. Wigan come into today's game in 23rd position. I think they're in the third relegation spot. Mill obviously lurking still on the fringes of the top 6, despite that dull thud of an anticlimactic 3-0 defeat last week at the Stadium of Light. Let's hope we can press on in this second half. Tom Bradshaw hauled to the ground. It's going to be a free kick for Millwall just on the edge of the D. I'd imagine Zian's going to take it. I can't believe he won't. He's got the buzz about him. He's taken a few steps back. 47 minutes on the clock. Here we go. It's on target, battered away. It was going in the net, but the goalkeeper got down to it nicely. Pushes it leftwards for a corner.
On target, brilliant by Fleming.
It was moving in the air. You could see it moving in the air.
That's what it's all about, though, Uncle Nick. Have a go.
Have a go.
I don't know whether I'm keeping warm or going to go and mug someone with this on my
I say, Michael's got him for like a desperado kind of mask kind of look over his, but not one of those COVID masks. This is an actual desperado, bandido type mask.
I look like a no-loo as the George Ninja.
You know, like one of these kind of faces that go away purely for the trouble, for the FV. Here come Millwall. On the left, Mason Bennett on the surging run that's balled into the box. It will fall to Billy Mitchell, straight into the arms of the goalkeeper. He sent it straight down the middle, but a nice move. Lovely surging run by Mason Bennett. That's great to see down the left side. And I suppose if you want that to fall to Zian Fleming, really, but he put it on target. They can't ask for more than that.
No, exactly. And to be fair, it was a good reaction saved by the goalkeeper, wasn't it? So, 1-1, still 1-1, but it's safe.
Can I just say, having recorded that ITV feature, Billy Mitchell, what a lovely guy.
Oh yeah, no, he came over really well on it. Yeah.
Very nice guy.
Would you say Billy Mitchell's in top 3 player of the season so far?
He's much improved. I mean, he would be a contender. I probably can't see much past Zian at the moment, can you?
That's why I said top 3, because you know Zian's run away.
It would certainly be a top 3 for me.
Or I know they like to do their sort of like young player of the year. Would he still constitute into that young?
But then George Honeyman won it already, because when he signed, he was player of the year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had a run against Dartford. We ignored the sending off against Cambridge, and the fact he hasn't got back in the side since.
Nice work, Danny Mack, lovely inside ball from Fleming. Ball chip forwards. Ball's out to Joel Saville. What can he do? Can he get a shot away? He's just run it into trouble. Ball out wide now. Ball into the mix. Danny Mack. Shot from distance. Just wide left. That was homing in on the top corner.
Saville needed to have that one straight away. Saville, that's a mess up from him. He should have had that. Take it past one, bang, go.
McNamara there, that shot there has made people forget about how poor that was from Saville. So while the game stops, I don't know if you mentioned it already on the pod, but how does the world of TV compare to the world of radio?
It's different. It's very different.
Yeah.
Radio, you are doing a lot of your own work. TV, you're directed as to where you're going, what you're doing, etc., etc.
You enjoy the radio more?
I enjoy both. I enjoy both. Like, TV's obviously taking me to different places. I'm kind of on this whistle-stop tour of the country. It's nice. Off to Bolton on Monday.
It's living all right, isn't it?
They're attempting to break a world record. The most amount of carol singers in one place.
Okay.
So, doing that for charity, which would be nice. Fair play.
Excellent piece Aaron did for in the week. We've mentioned it already, Billy Mitch, but it was on the Lions Food Hub. It really is. It's doing the rounds on Twitter, so do check it out, listeners. Goalkeeper's come very eccentrically halfway across his half there to clear that.
It's also good to highlight the work that clubs do, Nick, because a lot of people don't see that, they don't look at that, they don't look beyond like the football.
There's Wigan on the break, just interrupting Aaron there, so ball's into the box. Skids across the Mill 6-yard box. Somehow we escape it, but Vogelsammer's done well to get the ball back there. Recovered well. There was a moment of, man, this B did well to recover it. 16 getting a bit leery. The crowd love that because that gives them something to react to.
Can I just comment as well? And I don't normally like to critique too much, but once again, Long has completely missed that ball in front of him.
Yeah,
completely missed it.
I don't get why it's being picked, to be honest. After last week, I would have dropped him.
I watched him at Wimbledon when he was alone a few years ago, and he weren't very good then. I mean, how he's come in and he's taken number one shot of a Bart who's been brilliant.
Temperatures really dropped, listeners. Yeah.
It shows the quality of this game. We're talking about the weather.
Talking about the weather. McLean to take the corner, as you'll gather from the sound effects. SFX. This is Wigan in possession, just on their own halfway line, being pursued by Mason Bennett. They do a nice little work routine on the right side. That's going to go for another corner. Mill under a little bit of pressure at the moment, listeners. 64 minutes. Another corner in, right side, punched away that time decisively by George Long. Wigan just keeping possession at the moment. It's going to be over the bar. Wigan in possession, listeners, coming down our right side. They've got down the right side a couple of times. Murray being given a new backside there. The ball across the box. This is McLean. This is now a shot from distance. That's on target. It should be offside. He is offside. Ball nearly rebounded into the path of a striker there, but it was offside. Shot on target there. Good save. Or a save.
Yeah, I was just saying as well, and this sounds like we're members of the We Hate George Long.
There is a fan club. A hate club.
Yeah.
Harry Warren is the chairman of it.
That I find hard to believe because
Chairman, CEO, media officer, treasurer of the lot.
He's got to find someone to hate the boy, isn't he? But he doesn't seem to instill the confidence in the back line, does he?
Well, he wouldn't know. No, he doesn't have the presence of Bielkowski, does he? No. I had a great question sent to me by Matt Nash of Metro newspaper. Give a shout out to Matt Nash, asking when the last time that Millwall played at home on the same day as a big England game. And the only one I could think of that matched the gravity of the game tonight would be going all the way back to 1972 when Millwall played Preston North End in a famous game, which we won 2-0. Thought we'd been promoted to the first division. Crowd invaded the pitch. Ball across the box there. 29th of April, 72 to be precise. Heartbreaking game because we weren't actually promoted. We thought we were. Crowd invaded the pitch. Enjoy. But on the same evening, England played West Germany in the quarter-finals of the European Championships, Euros, I suppose you'd call it in modern money, and got beat 3-1 at home to West Germany. Gordon Banks in goal, and I watched that game on television. So 1972, I was 11 years old. I can't think of any other occasions where Millwall played at home on the same night as a big game that matters for England. I can't think of a situation like it. It's been a scrappy affair, I've got to say. I mean, it's not been an extravaganza.
Wigan very much playing for the draw.
Cold's starting to seep into my bones, a bit like Captain Scott of the Antarctic, listeners. Game's just drifted into a kind of scrappy nothingness now. 11 minutes of regular time, 79 minutes to go. Hard to see anyone breaking out of this at the moment, really. We've shown no real fluidity in the second half at all.
None at all. Very similar to the Sunderland game last week, where I know it wasn't an excellent first half, but there was promise there that you could build on.
Yeah.
And it's just petered out, isn't it?
What's missing, and what was missing last week, is that real spark of energy. I think you're right, Murray's been shown up badly at times in this game by probably a fairly average Wigan winger.
And the thing is as well is
Rowett don't seem to fancy Malone as a defensive falter, does he?
And the thing is, the fans are getting frustrated with decisions, but they are cheap, silly little fouls you shouldn't be giving away.
That's right.
You know, and I can understand their frustration, but sure, on the other foot, stop fouling people, you know.
Misplaced pass from Hutchison spurred something of an exit for the way out. This has been a poor show, increasingly poor show as the second half's gone along.
I've said it, what you're saying about with the resources, I've said it all season, and sorry if I sound like I'm a broken record, but take Zian Fleming out of this side, who in the top six would buy any of these players out there now?
No, that's a good point. Very, very drab afternoon, listeners. I mean, just to try and summarise things, we're on 87 minutes now. Obviously, it's still one each, still a few minutes of action to go, but it's been a very dour game. One moment from the Millwall perspective of individual brilliance for Zian Fleming, a few moments in the first half where he laid off and touched balls. Apart from that, it's been workmanlike is probably doing it a favour. I don't think that's a better summary, to be honest. I'm trying to find the erudition to summarise it, and the man there captured it in one sentence. I came to the game today, listeners, actually quite missing Millwall. I haven't been for a couple of months, and in that very Millwall style, I was looking forward to getting down here today, and now I'm really looking forward to going home. That's very Millwall. I can't wait to get out.
We're just looking forward to a bottle of wine.
This is McLean. Oh, I bet he swings, does an air swing there. McLean reacting to the crowd now. Release it, there's the final whistle. One each on what was in truth a very dour, disappointing performance by Millwall. I'm just looking forward to getting home.
If you're Colo Torre, you are buzzing after that, mate. That's a great result for you.
We didn't pressurise them enough in the second half. Very, very poor performance. Big thank you, Michael Avery. Great to see Aaron Paul back on the show again.
Come on, England.
Thank you to you too, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hello?
Nick, it's Matt Richards. Just giving a quick review of yesterday's game. I'm just getting over last night's England performance, so I'm a bit croaky and a bit knackered. It's just a really flat, bit of a flat day all around, really. But I mean, it's just cold. The team never got going. Crowd never got going. We had a few chances. Bradshaw, Vogelsammer, first half. If we'd taken them, but it's just the same old story. We're just not clinical enough when we do get chances. We're not playing it enough through Fleming. Why we just keep lumping it up to Bradders all the time? I mean, I just go. He does well for. He's like 5'0", but he does well. But we've got to show a bit more creativity than that. We've got to try something different. And the lack of options on the bench, the attacking options, is just plain to see. Afobe's injured. I don't know where Alafi's gone. Bury, he's maybe 1 in 10 games you might do something, but he's just too inconsistent. And we need consistency if we're going to actually get into the top 6. We need to get something in the window, transfer window. We need some more options up front. it wasn't a good game all round for anybody. Billy Mitchell, I don't think had a great game. Should have scored. I mean, second half, that was the chance. Saville, nobody kind of covered themselves in glory. Coops probably had a good game. Long made a good save. But it's just one of those flat days which you kind of think, well, we need to take a chances, get 3 points at home because now we've got 2 away games. So yeah, there you go. We go again. Still got a chance of making the playoffs, but we've got to get some points on the board. Anyway, come on, you Lions. Cheers.
John here, just ringing in with post-match observations. It's just finished 1-1 at the 10, Millwall v Wigan, and just a few observations. It was a disappointing watch, really. Wigan had a chance very, very early on, literally in the first minute, which George Long did well to save. And I was happy with our back four, apart from on our left. Their right winger, again, gave Murray Wallace a very tough time defensively. And I think that was rich pickings for Wigan, who tried to exploit us down their right or our left, more or less all the match. Their goal was a bit of a calamity, a bit of a Keystone Cops knockabout. The ball bouncing around, fell to one of the Wigan players. George Long had previously saved it, I think, and he was unfooted and it was in the back of the net. And that kind of woke Millwall up. My impression was we were still suffering from whatever disease we picked up in the second half against Sunderland. We didn't really seem to get a grip on the game at all. Our midfield duo of Saville and Mitchell, I'm afraid, were totally outplayed by Wigan. And I think Wigan played very well. They obviously got a new manager trying to impress, came with the right attitude, and really they deserved their 1-1 draw. A moment of brilliance from Zian Fleming with a wonderful shot from outside the box, evened it up. I was watching Fleming, he was quite easy to pick out, he had the orange boots on, and he didn't get hardly any of the ball in the first half and not a great deal in the second half. So not a lot for him as a number 10 to work on, and I think that was because of our midfield. We just could not get a grip on the ball. I haven't seen the possession stats, but playing without the ball, I'm not sure it paid off for us today. Our press again was very disjointed. We have Tom Bradshaw as a sole presser up front, and the rest of the team don't go with him. I don't think they've really coordinated their press, and I think Wigan exploited our weaknesses. They ran into spaces, they mixed it up a little bit, and fair play to them. Very, very frustrating. I thought Jake Cooper had a good game. I thought Sean Hutchinson played well, and Danny Mack seemed okay. Saville and Mitchell, I think they lost the midfield battle there. Consequently, Fleming didn't get a huge amount to work with. Bradshaw's first touch let him down. Not the greatest of games from Mason Bennett or Vogel Slammer, and I think the reason why is because of our lack of quality possession. When we had the ball, we tried to play it down the channels and got frustrated and then resorted to long balls. So a very, very frustrating watch. The mood was a little bit antagonistic in the Coldblow Lane end. We were all a bit frustrated. Must do better than that Millwall. And I think we're lucky really to scrape a 1-1 draw. Beginning of the second half, we came out strong. Billy Mitchell had a wonderful shot saved. Danny Mack came close and shot. But, we didn't really threaten in the box. There was, I think we might be missing Benica Fobi, someone who can actually show a bit of quality with the ball at his feet in a tight space in the box and slot it home. So we're definitely missing a quality number 9 who's got composure on the ball. Bradshaw's great as a goal poacher, but when it comes to actually controlling the ball and making space, giving yourself a yard or two of space and taking a man on, I think we're lacking in that department. So over and out, I hope England do well tonight against France. Let's see what happens. Come on, you Lions.
Morning, Nick. This is Jim Hackett. The day after the game and obviously the England the game last night as well. Just talking about Millwall. Disappointed with yesterday. I thought it was a poor start. We seemed to be on the back foot very early on. Long pulled off a great save, I thought, in the first minute. But it was one of those games where we never quite got the grips with everything. I think we had a little spell just before we scored where Billy Mitchell came right into it and seemed to be dominating the centre of the park and went really well. But overall, I think it was probably a fair result, 1-1. Wigan kept the ball better than us. At times, they didn't look too ambitious, but they caused us a few problems, especially with their balls across the front of the goal. As a team, I thought Murray Wallace, once he got booked, I think he was a problem, and it seemed a problem throughout the whole game. And out of the old Rowett didn't think of bringing Malone on. I was astounded when he made substitutions, and we didn't actually deal with the left back place. So it's a disappointment. Cooper and Hutchinson, I thought, played very well yesterday. The passing, obviously, as always, was a bit suspect, but in terms of defending, I thought they defended quite well. Danny McNamara had a decent game. And then you go into the midfield, and we didn't really get too much out of Vogie yesterday, and I think Mason Bennett looked a little bit bright at times, and other times he sort of gave the ball away or didn't get past his man. But Billy and Sav in the middle, Billy was steady throughout the whole game, and like I say, he had that 10-minute period where he seemed to be on top of everything and really seemed to get us going forward. And so I was very surprised when he sort of drifted out as the game went on. Fleming scored his goal, looks the part, and I think that if he just keeps popping them into the net, then nobody's going to moan too much. He's got a little bit of quality that tends to shine through, doesn't give the ball away too often, looks for the good pass all the time, so very, very comfortable with him. Bradshaw, I thought, worked his knackers off yesterday and probably deserved more. He gave their back two central defenders a torrid time, and I felt a bit sorry for him because he did put the work rate in. Not a lot of quality, but he does what he does. So very comfortable with him as well. I think the rest of the game as such, we could have lost, and we probably could have won if one of the 2 or 3 chances that we had did go in the net. But as always, we never seem to find that final bit that gets it in there. Overall, disappointed with the performance. I thought we could have been better, but then we got away with a draw, I think, at times. So in real terms, we're not too damaged, going forward, because nobody else seems to have got a run on us in terms of positions. But I think I was a bit disappointed with Rowett substitutions. I thought, at times he sees things and he doesn't do anything about it. Murray Wallace was a bit of a liability throughout the whole game, and he just left him there, and he kept getting roasted by their wide players. So disappointing result. Hopefully it'll be a January transfer window will come up and we'll get a left back, or we'll get a left-sided player or a right-sided winger, and we'll do some more damage to other teams. But the way things are, you can see us sort of drifting into mid-table and not going too much further. So sorry about that. I wish I was a bit more positive today, but it's been a bad Saturday for all Millwall supporters and all England supporters as well. Good luck anyway. See you soon, Nick. Bye-bye.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Joining us on the show now to review what's been quite a miserable weekend, one way or the other, is a new voice. What a way to make a debut. Welcome, Dan Shepherd. How are you, Dan?
Very well, thanks, Nick. Thanks for inviting us on the show. Big follower every weekend, and yeah, I definitely picked an interesting weekend to make my debut on the show.
A doozy, as they say in America. You picked
not a Bobby Dazzler. So no, looking forward to talking all through.
Yeah, we're reviewing obviously yesterday's 1-1 draw at home to Wigan. We'll also mention in passing the England result last night, 2-1 to France, which will be done to death elsewhere. So we won't have an awful lot of extra to add to that, but we'll touch on it later perhaps. Dan, 1-1 draw in a very mediocre game yesterday. It's kind of, we were just saying off air, mate, weren't we? It's kind of hard to see how we're really going to kickstart a real promotion drive. I don't think we're out of it personally, but we will get these mediocre runs and probably another good run at some point. But it's hard to see us as real contenders with this squad as it stands in a minute. How do you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were just saying off air, you kind of, it's the hope that kills you, right? On all of these different games. And we've been building a bit of momentum. We've gone into the
Yeah.
Christmas break the pre-Christmas break. And yesterday was a big old reality check, weather-wise, football-wise, referee-wise, you name it, across all of them. And I
Yeah.
hope to blame any one of them. But right now, if we can't break teams down like that, and we can go on about their front two and Toure and all those things, but if we can't break them down, you're not going to win the prize.
No, I thought Wigan were very. They were 23rd in the league table, Dan. So I think they looked like they were 23rd in the league table. That's not to knock them. They're working hard with a very average squad, to say the least. But we've got to be able to take these teams apart if we want to finish in the top six, which is the stated aim of the club. So, the squad at the moment just doesn't have the guile. There's only one player that has the guile, and we all know who that is. But beyond Zian, we're an okay squad, but we're not going to really challenge. Up front, dear old Tom Bradshaw I think I described him yesterday as industrious, which is a kind of a coded way of saying. Michael said it in the stadium. We don't get many goals. I know he was a hat-trick hero the other week, but I think a minimum we need is someone that's going to be sharper in and around the box to hopefully start scoring some of the chances that we created yesterday.
We all, everyone down the den loves a hard worker, and I've been one of Tom's biggest fans for a while. I think he puts in the yards. You can't deny that. But then when we're structurally setting ourselves up to hit long balls to him and expecting him to win headers against 6-foot defenders, something's gone wrong in the process. And I don't know whether it's Vogie needs to move into that position. We need to spend some cash in January. But there's only so much we can kind of keep saying, great effort without the results at the end of it. So, Zian must be thinking, I'm doing all right here, but what's around me at this point that's going to kind of allow me to be as good as I can be? Too many passes, not getting where they need to be, not quick enough on the transitions. Just didn't look at the races, and and I think look at the possession stats from a team 23rd. Max Power's a great player, but it's just not good enough at this stage. And I think when I wrote to you, Nick, to say I wanted to come on the show, I described myself as a centrist left. I'm a fan of the club. I've been a fan of Rowett for a long time. I'm not complaining about any of those things. But on this day, you've got to come back and you just got to be putting these sides to bed, because then you can start working on your away form. But right now, it was a tough, cold Saturday that then got slightly more frozen in the evening.
Yeah, we got very frayed as the game went on. I think. To look at it from a neutral, I just watched the brief YouTube clips. I don't subscribe to Millwall television. I won't pay £5 a month for the players doing some kind of. No, not for that. No, that's probably a better way to put it. Not for that. I won't pay a £5. And also, I won't pay a £5 to hear Rowett's post-match words, which should be available for at least some of it for free. But anyway. We actually had one or two chances. I watched the YouTube clips. The Bradshaw moment in the first half was the standout, probably. We should, it's the U word. We're unlucky, but you do create your own luck to a degree in football, Dan. And good players take those moments, don't they? The goal. I watched the goal again with slightly more. Sympathetic eyes than maybe in real time in the stadium, because I think Long in goal, who I criticised in real time. I thought that was bad goalkeeping, but actually was committed to go the wrong way, really. And then fell to the Wigan striker to basically tap into what was little more than an open net. It was still a gutter, wasn't it? They weren't really. They had an early chance, but they weren't really at it yesterday, and we gifted the goal. I think that's a regular word that Gary Rowett uses.
Yeah, it used to be, a few games ago, it used to be in the first 10 minutes. We've sort of dragged it out slightly later than that now, but that just had an air of inevitability about it. And as you say, you create your own luck. I think you can't really blame Long. He's committed to the left. If it had stood where he is and that doesn't deflect and goes through, we'd be having a go at him on the other side. But when it's not, when it's not going your way, it's not going your way. But they had so much space down that right hand side.
They did,
Lang,
yeah.
Lang's a good player, but we allowed him. I mean, we allowed him. Wallace got done twice, I think, for getting too close to him, and then having to do the old shirt pull, and that just felt quite exposing down the right at home with a defence that we always talk about being so solid.
Yeah, no, Murray, that was one of the points I made to myself. And also I picked out a comment from the net, from Twitter, from Mike Perkins. He says he's no fan of Scott Malone. He loves Murray to bits, but he needs to be dropped because he's having a mare at the moment. You're right. We were always vulnerable as they came forwards throughout the whole game, really. And they really weren't up to much, Dan. So that's it's an area that I can only hope that the club are looking at in the January transfer window, because if I love these nicknames. If Styles is not around, then and Murray seems to be going for a bad time of it at the moment. Scott Malone is not a defensive defender, is he? He's a full, almost semi winger, really. So we do look vulnerable on that left side.
And I think that's where the depth of squads and money comes into play in this second half of the season, where you're going to start to get exposed in particular areas, and other clubs watch our games as much as we watch theirs in the pre-match planning, and they're going to see where they're going to attack. And you could see a very clear game plan from Wigan yesterday, and we flattered them with it. You don't mind when you come to get beat by a team that's come down from the Premiership, but those boys they were playing for their shirt, but we made it easy for them. And
what a horrible shirt to be playing for as well. That was one of the most repulsive kits I've seen in a long time in football. And I include non-league there, Dan, because you might expect that to be.
It was some kind of sci-fi show. I thought they were about to go off to some alien planet.
Not the biggest issue from the game, but it was awful.
Wasn't it?
You wouldn't wear it to the gym, or if I went around Newham Leisure Centre, listeners, I wouldn't put that shirt on. It's horrible. I mean, our goal, when I equalised, let's talk about some positives, because there were one or two positives. We did have a few good moves, a few good chances, and the goal from Zian, who I don't know where we'd be without. Top quality strike there, Dan. Lovely little chest by Tom. Bradshaw, we've been a little bit critical of for probably for unfair reasons, but there's a nice chest down and a lovely volley into the net by Zian.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Zian actually starts it in the middle and then gets it out to Danny McNamara. McNamara puts a lovely float in, and I think he's just in the right place at the right time. And you've got to give Bradshaw a bit of credit for that chest down. He sets it up nicely, but players of past would have waited for that to bounce, and it would have looked like Harry Kane's second penalty. But drills it straight in the bottom first time.
Yeah.
And when you do give him the ball, he's going to score. But I think that might be our problem, is how much we can give him the ball to score.
If only we could give him the ball all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a little bit. I was just reading through Gary Rowett's post-match interview. It's on News at Den, a written account of it, listeners. It says we responded quite well after going behind. We had some good moments. We did have a few good moments. The thing that bothers me, and just on the paragraph I'm looking at, Rowett says, I think we worked hard, we competed, but when it came down to it, we didn't have that zip in our performance on and off the ball. Because I was really struck down, I don't know about you, or I don't know anyone that watched the game, we really faded through. It was a cold, harsh second half. I mean, the conditions weren't enjoyable, were they? But as the game wore on, as we got into the kind of last quarter of the game, 67 minutes onwards, we looked really ragged. No idea. And that bothers me, because it's where you want the Millwall side to press on in the last 20 minutes. Get the crowd involved, bring it in. Nothing happened.
No, and we're that classic second half season squad and all those things we talk about over the years, and the points play out there. This should have been a game where they've come off the back end of a bit of a second half hiding off of Sunderland. They could have had those 12th man and women behind them, but we didn't give enough for that to get going. And the pitch was frozen. But I'd watched the Preston game up at Blackburn earlier in the day, and that looked a much harsher pitch, and they went for it, gung ho. So I think we always love a trier at Millwall. That's the way we want. But at this point, it's actually about the trying and the quality coming together, and it's in there. We see it in patches, as you say, during the game. There's a 5-minute bit where suddenly McNamara is giving it into Mitch, and Sav's helping out, and you think, oh, this is going to build quite nicely, and it just hasn't hasn't got there. So I don't know whether they all had too many long weekends in Disney Paris over the break and enjoyed themselves with the kids, and sure they deserve it. But we definitely haven't had come back from this break. It looks like an England tea break at cricket.
Oh mate, Fogelsammer I thought was unlucky. He had like a bullet header. I think that was in the second half. That was a left-sided move, and the ball whipped in from the left, and he caught it nicely. And unlucky, that's the same word again. We keep using that word. There we are. We finished one each, and I think we still remain in seventh position. So we're still in contention. Bizarrely, I mean, I think it probably is a bit of a thing to say that the division isn't brilliant.
No.
Let's have a look at the league table. Here we are, seventh.
I had a look earlier, Nick, and if we lose, I think you can go down to 16th for 29 points, and you can be third with, if Watford wins. So it's definitely not a season to be proud of from the Championship's point of view. But that's when it should be. This feels like it's slightly for the taking, a little bit like the England guys yesterday. It feels like this is the chance season.
Yeah, there's a great tweet, incidentally, mentioning the England result. I think Dan Poor said he's used to Millwall messing up his weekend. I'm used to Millwall ruining my weekends. I'm used to England ruining my weekends. But having both ruining it on the same day he's got a series of emojis crying his eyes out.
I know. I got up on I got up on Saturday morning and took the boy down the cafe with my brother, and he had that air of kind of youthful expectation where he was like, "We're going to beat Wigan, and we're going to be in the semi-finals of the
We're going to beat France." Oh yeah.
And I felt like that. I felt like that grumpy old git that had to tell him that probably it's not going to be that way, and that sounds like sad inevitability.
I mean, we're not out of the season. I think it will be crucial to see how we improve our squad then, because January does loom. I think Neil Fissler said it a few times. I think he made the point on the show we did Friday about the limitations of our squad, and I think yesterday was another game like Sunderland away where the limitations were cruelly exposed. Not taking chances and being found out in defence. So I mean, there's a goalkeeping debate. I don't know where you stand on the Jules Long versus Bart Bielkowski debate. I personally prefer a goalkeeper that makes saves, maybe don't distribute so well. I don't know, but
I'm a Bart fan. I'm a total Bart fan. I think he had a couple of early mistakes in the season, but he always looks like he's going to save you at least 1 or 2 goals per game, and I think for me that outweighs the distribution. We've got a back four; they know how to pass the ball. It would always be back to Bart for myself.
Whether he would have made that save yesterday, I mean, that's the first thing that leaps to people's lips at the moment. He did make a decent save. I think it was in the opening few minutes, the first minute possibly, where he got down well to save from a Wigan move forwards. So it is harsh to pin everything on him. I mean, his distribution, I don't know. We're not distributing much at all at the moment. So whether that's down to Long or the rest of this team really needs to.
I think, as it say, it doesn't really matter how big the distribution is down the end of the pitch. If you're aiming at a poor old Tom Bradshaw under 6 foot, in the Moody days, it would have been half a tactic we might have got away with right now.
Yeah.
But when you're aiming at the smallest man on the pitch, it's not the tactic for me.
I mean, I think there's a general consensus, Dan, if you'd agree that the left side is an area that we need to strengthen. And clearly, if we can lay our hands on a goal scorer, I mean, that's like saying, can you find the King Arthur's Holy Grail while you're at it? It's the gold dust, isn't it, of the division? But that is an area where we just don't score enough goals, do we?
And this is where
we depend on Fleming.
Yeah, and this is probably where I'll get a bit more defending of the club. I think, I can't remember the name of the guy who scored the 2 goals up at Sunderland last weekend. He's on loan from Man United. He's 25 million quid.
Oh, Diallo, was it?
Diallo, yeah. So Fleming at 1.8 looks like, or 1.7, whatever it was, looks like an absolute steal. But there just ain't that many around. And I think, going into January when everyone wants to be doing what they want to be doing, whatever league they're in, I think that the chances of finding that person who's going to just drop you 15 goals from here is a tough one for any club. And I think, sometimes goes against us. So I won't be too harsh on them there, but that is the challenge. It's the absolute challenge, I think.
It is the challenge, but you also do need the team, the squad, to raise their game. And I don't think, it's easy to knock Gary Rowett, and you can always criticise a manager. I think even the very, very best. I'm sure
Yeah.
Didier Deschamps has his critics in France, you know, and everyone always thinks they know better. So I think that's an easy get out. But I think you do have to look at the squad, the collective group of players, because there are some decent players. They may not be world beaters, but they're certainly not as poor as I think we've seen in the last two games, Dan. Sunderland second half, and pretty much second half yesterday. I mean, you know, we were in it at half time. We should have pressed on, and we didn't. We didn't press on at Sunderland. That's a mentality thing of the group. I don't know where that's coming from. Whether they enjoyed their break a little bit too much. Maybe they, as you say, they took off to Disneyland or something. Maybe they like that, preferred that to football. I don't know.
Yeah,
But there's a flaw there.
There's a flaw there, and I'm one of them. You know, I'm always positive about the team, and I'll always get behind them. I'll never boo. And there's been moments in games during the earlier part of the season that, you know, the Preston second half, where you can only applaud them. That first half against Watford, they, you know, absolutely. I don't think that'll be the same result when we play them on Boxing Day. But yeah, there's just a bit of zip missing. So they've either got to go and sort that out against Luton quite quickly, and then maybe we'll all put our complaints to bed and we'll all move on. But we're a fickle set of fans, as all fans are. So 3 wins on the trot, and we'll, you know, this will be a conversation. We'll just say, oh, I think we lost, or we drew. But yeah, there's something missing, and I at this point I don't blame Rowett. I think he took the advice either publicly or privately earlier in the season around the 5, much debated. We've got what we wanted as a 4. And right now, I think the players got to take some responsibility for themselves. You know, there's some young nippers in there, and you know, Billy looks like probably the most lively and wants to give. But you know, Sav's got to step up, and you know, Cooper's they've got to be a bit more vocal on the pitch. They've got to be vocal and drive themselves out of this position. And you know, the opportunity's there. 2 wins, you can be third.
And it's a massive opportunity, Dan. You know, we're talking about the Premier League. We're talking about the Promised Land. These players should be caring more than they're giving us the impression that they do at the moment. So that's a rare. I don't know. I think sometimes it's easy to dig Gary Rowett, and there's a natural design not to dig the players, but that's who take the field. That's who try to play the game. They didn't really do it yesterday. Let's touch on England last night. What double disappointment for your boy. Welcome to the rest of life, son.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it all turned on that missed penalty, really, didn't it? I mean, France are a decent side. I thought they took two good chances, France, but I thought we actually played quite well against them. But unless you take your own chances, and this is a familiar refrain from Millwall, isn't it? You're not going to beat the quality teams. Yeah,
it sort of had a bit of a sense of replay, but with a loss at the end of it, I think, you know, stats wise, we actually bossed the game. I wouldn't be inviting either Stroud or our friend Wilton, the ref, to my Christmas dinner. One's going to blow his party. Mr. Stroud's going to blow his whistle all the way through the Christmas speeches, and Wilton's going to think he's coming to an under-6 party. He was clearly out of depth, but I think that's, you know, you can't use those excuses. I thought we played all right. I think they allowed Mbappe noise to mean that's where the focus went. And actually, I thought Griezmann did a really good job of just nipping around all over that pitch and put an absolute quality crossing.
He's irrationally annoying for one of the greatest players in the game has generated. He's good, you know. I find him just so. I don't know what it is. I was saying this to my wife last night. I don't know why I get irritated by him. Whether it's his face, I don't know, or his manner, or you know, this is all irrational stuff, listeners. And I'm, you know, I'm 60-year-old bloke. Plus, I shouldn't get annoyed by these bodily tics. I don't know, but he's a very annoying person. I
mean, I'd hate to. Yeah, I think you'd hate to play it against him. He just gets behind you. He's in those pockets, and I think the Mbappe thing was just this sort of slightly red herring that everyone played into, and it just opened up a lot of space behind. But you've got to take your chances, like we've just been talking for the last 20 minutes in the Millwall game. You know, I'm not going to blame Harry. I think he's probably thought that Lloris is going to go that way because he knew where he went the first time. and unfortunately he got his 7-iron out, and that ball's still somewhere floating into Qatar.
This is knockout football. You don't take your chances. You live by the sword. You die by the sword.
Yeah.
What about the Gareth Southgate debate? Let's close out on Mr. Waistcoat, or Westcott, as my old granddad used to call him, Mr. Westcott. He's come out and said he's going to review his position. I think he'd be mad to leave the England job unless the FA want to sack him. I think he'd be potty to leave it, because I can't really see him as a Premier League level manager. And I think he's got a nice little niche there. But I think I look at football in a way that nice little tickle for, nice wage, not going to do much, my own personal angle. But I don't know if he'd see it that way. I think he might have ideas that he can prove himself as a Premier League manager.
I don't think he's at the Eddie Jones position in rugby where, like you could tell his time was up. I think if you look at the France and the Spain squads before they went on to be successful, they were around the semis and the quarters for a bit. So I think, other than probably Henderson, this team will be there for the Euros and possibly, most of them for the World Cup. Yeah. So if I was him, I'd be sticking around. I think St George's Park's got some nice parking and quite, luxurious.
Easy job, isn't it? Nice little number.
So, I love that. Yeah. Unless unless he fancies a little trip down to South Bermondsey, but I'm not sure that. Not sure you can work magic with that squad.
I don't think he'd be a hit at all down at the Den, do you?
I don't think
takes
so.
You've got to be a certain type of personality, I think, to get along at the Den. And one thing I will say, Gary Rowett must have the skin of a rhinoceros for the amount of stick that he gets. So in Block 1, I don't know what it's like around the rest of the stadium. Blimey. You need to be robust to manage Millwall.
He clearly blocks out. So I think on the Southgate, if I was him, I'd be staying around unless the FA have got a difference of opinion. I think the players clearly warm to him, and he's got that kind of spine of a team that are all very loyal.
The FA won't sack him, will they? He's their kind of bloke,
I'm just desperate to not always say what might have been for the rest of my life around England.
Done, Dan. Thank you for coming on the show, mate. Really good to talk to you. Mate. We'll do it again.
Pleasure.
Thank you to you too, dealers. Incidentally, well done to the hardcore that turned out to go down Millwall yesterday. It was freezing, and there was hardcore in Block 1. Everyone that was in that ground yesterday, well done. Big day, easy not to have gone. So thank you for listening, dear listeners. Let's hope for a better show next week. Thank you, Dan. Until the next one, Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now. Achtung, Achtung, Christmas is a-coming, dear listeners. And to quote Richard Chaplow, 26 appearances, 9 subs, 1 goal, as he once said, you cannot beat a good board game. And we've got a good board game for you here. Achtung has teamed up with a tremendous football trivial pursuit style game called Pundit. You can follow Pundit at Pundit Games on Twitter. And it's a really nice little game, actually. It's a board game. It consists of football trivia questions, easy and hard. Some of the hard ones are very, very hard. And you move along a football pitch to score goals against your opponent. It will suit the football head in your life, dear listeners. Great way to pass a Christmas afternoon. You can get a 10% discount if you visit punditgames.co.uk. That's PUNDITGAMES, punditgames.co.uk. Get a 10% discount at checkout with the code LIONS in capital letters. LIONS, capital letters. And every sale will benefit the Lions Food Hub. What a better way to pass your Christmas than to enjoy a good football trivia game and to know you're doing good at the same time. So get on it. punditgames.co.uk.